number 2 of instructional design, from my point of view, is to then look at what are our learning objectives. What is it that our learners will be able to do, number 1? What will they know? And how will they feel by the end of this training initiative? Now, when I say the word feel, that might feel a bit airy-fairy. I also mean attitude when it comes to that. For instance, if we're talking about safety, we may say that at the beginning of the training session, if you ask an employee how they feel about training, they may just go, well, I don't know, it's got to be done, hasn't it? If we say, how do you feel about safety now your training has been completed? And they go, well, clearly it's essential because I want to get home to my family every night. You've got 2 very, very massively different changes in opinion there, in feelings, in attitudes towards something. So write those 3 things down. How will your learners what will your learners be able to do? How will they feel? And what will they know by the end of your training session? Once you've done that, then the next thing is to write your specific learning outcomes. Now, instead of writing very vague learning outcomes, which I think is done a lot in this particular industry, we need to be much more specific than that. Now, there is a method of writing learning outcomes called Bloom's taxonomy. Now, I have actually written a learning outcomes cheat sheet. It's pages and pages long that will really, really help you with writing learning outcomes. So whether you're a training provider, a training manager, a HR manager, whatever, I guarantee you'll find this extremely helpful, this document that I have. Please get in touch with me if you'd like to get hold of that. Now, what we mean by being specific with our learning outcomes is that we cannot just write, by the end of this training session, the student will be able to understand. Words like understand are simply too vague. They are not measurable. My level of understanding or a definition of understand could be very, very different to somebody else's. We need to be using verbs that can actually be measured, can be witnessed, or can be assessed so that we can actually tell whether or not that training has been effective, whether or not the trainer or training provider is effective, in order to see whether or not that's going to make any difference whatsoever to the whole reason that we put the training on in the first place. So by using Bloom's taxonomy, or the cheat sheet that we've built for you for writing your learning outcomes, you will be able to go to the section on understanding or comprehension, for instance, and that will provide you with a whole bunch of verbs and words that you can use instead of the word understand. So it may be things like classify, describe, explain, list, define, whatever it may be. So this will really, really help you get those learning outcomes specific and, importantly, measurable as well. So that's number 2. Get those learning outcomes done and be able to define what the student will be able to do, know and feel by the end of the learning intervention.